Jerry Jones has apparently officially lost his ever-loving mind. What does this mean for the Cowboys organization moving forward? Two massive trades have happened in the NFL that will change the landscape of the AFC for the rest of the season and maybe even longer. And I have a legitimate question to ask you. Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence? Because I think our conversation will change your mind. That and more coming up on Sports Talk with Dad right now. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who was alive when the entire world was covered in ice, my dad, Tim.
You couldn't survive then.
People did.
I wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't have.
No.
With your asthma, you would have died very quickly.
Very quickly.
Which, depending what people think about our show, would be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, all I know is my dad and my mom, one of the fights I remember when I was a kid, my mom wanted to keep me in a bubble, basically.
Yeah.
My dad said, let him go out. If something happens, it happens. We'll deal with it. And he got me out there running around, playing in the grass, and I grew out of most of it. So thank you, Dad.
Getting that pollen. Microdosing. It's the answer to everything.
Oh, there was no microdosing. It was just all in.
It just wasn't called that at that time.
We lived outside a lot more when I was a kid.
See, I love it because like microdosing is a fancy term to something that people have been doing forever. But now it's this new age thing where it's like, no, this has been a thing for a very, very long time.
You know what else is kind of a new thing that needs to go away the same as those things went?
No.
Cancel culture.
Sure.
It needs to go away, and I'll give you two examples.
Okay.
There is nothing, and I mean nothing, wrong with the name Indians or with the name Redskins.
I mean, some people would agree with you, would disagree with you.
Well, please, let's have this conversation then.
Well, Indians was never a derogatory term. In fact, the term Indians, it was incorrectly said that Columbus thought he landed in India, which isn't the truth at all. In fact, he was looking for a new passage to China to not go around India. And when he landed in the Caribbean, he used the term El Gente and Dios, which means people of God, as the term for the Native Americans that were on the island at that time. Well, they weren't Native Americans, they were in the Caribbean, but the natives, people of that culture, and the name came from that. So
yeah,
Indians actually means of God.
And the other one, did you get the article I sent you?
Which one?
About the Redskins?
Yeah, they're suing the Washington football team.
Well, correct. They're suing because the Redskins name carries a deep historical, cultural, and emotional significance, honoring the bravery, resilience, and warrior spirit associated with Native American culture. I agree.
Well, Redskins, I don't think was ever really thought of as a derogatory term, at least not when it first came about.
It was by the cancel culture. And it never was, as I was growing up, it was always a way to honor Native Americans.
Well, I think a big issue, we've talked about this on the show before, we have a huge issue right now where people are trying to say things are derogatory that were never thought of that way. And especially when you look at the Native Americans, I mean, their history is completely being wiped off the face of the earth because we keep getting rid of all of the symbolism that shows us them. And that's a problem.
It's a huge problem, and it's something that's got to go away.
They're suing to get the logo back, right?
They want the logo and the name.
They want the name back, too.
Yeah. And here's what they say about it. The Redskins, in the complaint and in the lawsuit, it says the Redskins were the only National Football League team to honor an actual Native American, which is true because the logo was named after a Blackfoot chief,
correct,
John Two Guns Whitecalf, which is a great name, by the way.
It is. I tell you what, the Indian people of the United States have the coolest names. I had a doctor, it was Dr. Whitefeather.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, when I was really sick in the hospital. And dude is my hero. He's one of the only reasons I'm still here is because of Dr. Whitefeather. And he was awesome.
He actually wasn't a doctor. He was a nurse, but he was as smart as a doctor.
Was he a nurse?
Yeah.
I always thought he was a doctor. They treated him like a doctor.
Yes. Well, because he was so good. He actually was the one that saved my life once I got into something. Speaking of allergies and asthma and everything, got into something. he actually was there, and they put a needle right in my heart, shot it
I
with
remember
adrenaline.
that. That was when you were going golfing,
I wanted to.
and Ryan didn't want to go.
Thank God Ryan didn't want to go.
By the time we got home, you couldn't breathe.
No, it was a bad night. But yeah, he was the one who put the needle in my heart.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he took care of us both then.
Yes, he did.
Thank you, Nurse
Great-
Whitefeather. Appreciate
Great
you.
God. Great guy.
Yes. Not God, but
Not
name
God,
is of God.
Yes, but
It's
let's
literally
go.
what the
Okay.
term Indian means.
I moved Frenchie, but same thing applies. Went down a scroll
You were
path.
Frenchie. That's good. Now people can see Frenchie more
Yeah.
often. And he won't fall down in the middle of shows anymore.
I think he was trying to tell us, move me.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Redskins name always honored him. So did the Indians. The Indians were actually named because there were 3 Indians that played on the team.
Correct.
And
Yes, they were the Spiders, and one of the players, after getting their 3rd Indian player, said we might as well call ourselves the damn Cleveland Indians. And they changed the name because they're like, hey, we got 3 Indians on the team. This is awesome.
I saw a short with a Native American on it. And they were talking about the very thing about the Indians and if he was offended by that name. And he said, no, because as you said, it meant children of God.
Yes.
It was a derivative of that.
Yes, there was a priest that was with Columbus that expanded on it and said, no, they are not El Gente en Dios, they are El Niño en Dios, which is the children of God.
Yeah, so it's time to put cancel culture back in a box and cancel it all together. And if we don't stop canceling things like the Indians and the Redskins, as you said, we're going to erase the history of these people that lived.
And their history has already been very much erased. You know, in the hometown I grew up in, you grew up in, we have the Indian Trading Post, which was always, I loved going there because it showed how the settlers of that time worked with the Indian people in that area as trade. You know, it was a partnership. It wasn't anything wrong.
Yeah, the old Indian Agency House in Portage, Wisconsin.
Yeah, one of the worst mosquito havens in the history of the world.
Yes.
It's right where the Fox and Wisconsin meet, where they portage, where Marquette, portaged from the Fox to the Wisconsin River, which got them to the Mississippi.
Right.
And it's all standing water.
And it has mosquitoes like you would not believe. But
which, speaking of squirrel moment, the Fox River is one of the only rivers in the world that actually goes north to south, or south to north. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. And I'm like, don't say this wrong. And then I said it wrong.
You know what the other one is?
The Nile.
Yes.
There's other ones too. There's like 10.
Don't be in denial about this. Sorry. But yeah, this has just been bugging me more and more because we're trying to change all these names to be politically correct.
It's a great symbol.
Screw that. Bring it back and honor these people for what they did, the way they lived. And as it said in the lawsuit, honor their warrior spirit, which is what the name of a lot of high schools that had a Native American logo. We had the warrior chief for years and years and years. It was never seen as derogatory.
Not once. In fact, it was an honor to be associated with that. We're going to forget the Native people that were here before the settlers came over, not the colonizer, the settlers came over. And there is such a rich history that we really don't learn about that is being forgotten because of this. We need to get rid of all this stuff because we consider it derogatory, when it's like there's not enough of them left to really defend this, and it's becoming less and less and less every year. And if we don't do something about this now to remember the history, the great history of the people that lived here before Europeans came over here, then they're going to be gone forever. People don't realize that, though. If you're so worried about offending people all the time and you want to just make that history go away, then it's going to be forgotten. And really what you're doing is erasing that history that existed. And I think the Washington Redskins was right in people's faces of these people that existed before. And like you said, it was designed by an Indian chief of the Blackfoot tribe. It was a Blackfoot chief. Is it Blackfoot or Blackfeet?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to say Blackfoot, but if it's Blackfeet, I apologize. I know it's one of the two. But a Blackfoot chief designed that, asked to design that.
It was Blackfeet.
Blackfeet. I knew I was getting that wrong. By the Blackfeet chief who designed that logo because they wanted to be a part of that team. And now you're erasing it. It's still the greatest logo in all of sports.
It is. I mean, it was classic. It was distinguished. It was
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it honored the Blackfeet tribe in such a beautiful way.
I was just going to say, even Chief Wahoo was never meant to be offensive. It was a caricature. It's no different than the Orioles logo of the bird. You know, it's a caricature of the symbol. I get getting rid of Chief Wahoo. I mean, if the native people are offended by it, whatever, move on from it. But I don't agree with changing the name. Again, Indian means of God.
Correct.
It's exactly, and maybe this cancel culture wants it to go away because it means of God, but it was never a derogatory term. Again, it was people of God. They were never named Indians because they thought they were in India. That's not where the name came from. The name comes from people of God.
And the Redskins was never derogatory, even though they tried to associate it with the N-word and other derogatory names. It was never that way. But if they really want to do something and bring back the logo and maybe name the
Washington Blackfeet.
Washington Blackfeet. Fine. Go ahead and do it. Or another tribe that's in the DC area.
Well, no, it'd have to be Blackfeet. I mean, that's where the name comes from.
That's where the logo comes from. It is. But I'm willing to bend in because it is in DC.
But imagine what you could do in a new stadium that they're about to build if you become the Washington Blackfeet and your stadium just becomes a memorial to the Blackfeet tribe that was in Washington.
They've got the Packer Hall of Fame. Do something similar.
You could do something great.
Yeah.
I mean, they started with bringing the feather back, which is awesome. They need to continue down that path. Don't change the color scheme, though.
No.
The new color scheme, the maroon and gold, is awesome. And the matte helmets they're better than the Vikings helmets, for sure.
Oh, by far. And I actually like the W, but it's not as cool as the Redskins logo.
It's not. And you could do the W on one side, the Redskin logo on the other. You just go back to the Redskin logo.
Just go back to it.
It even goes back to John Riggins refusing to allow his name on a Commanders jersey. And if you really want to go through cancel culture, by the way, the Commanders replacing Redskins.
Yes.
You want a white colonizer name to replace an Indian name? I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
I think that was part of the lawsuit as well.
It was part of the lawsuit. I definitely stole that from the Blackfeet tribe. I laughed at that one. I was like, this needs to be posted everywhere, but nobody's talking about it. It's being covered up.
Well, we're talking about it.
Yeah, I do hate it, though. You have to bring back that logo. It's the greatest logo in sports. There's not many that rival it. The Washington Nationals W may rival it because that is an awesome, awesome logo.
Well, that dates back to the Senators.
It does. Great logo.
Yeah.
And the Brewers should go back just to the Braves M. I mean, that's just...
No. The ball and glove is awesome, but I agree with you about Chief Wahoo. If you don't want the caricature anymore, fine. Come up, just put a feather on there.
Yeah, make it something different. The Guardians is a stupid name. It's not coming back. But again, people don't understand. I was taught in school.
I'm holding out hope that it will come back.
I'm hoping so too. It was funny I went to a Brewers Cleveland game in Milwaukee this summer with some friends of mine. All Indian stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All Indian stuff. Nobody had Guardian stuff on. All the fans were wearing Indian stuff. And I talked to some fans about it, actually, because you know me. I'm going to talk to people. And they were wearing Indian stuff. And I'm like, dude, I love your pullover. They're like, yeah, it's old. You can't find this stuff anymore. And I was like, what do you guys think in Cleveland about the name being changed? He said, they're the Indians. And just left it at that. I was like, that's awesome. So everybody wants the name back. Bring back the Redskin name. Definitely get rid of Commanders.
Oh,
bring back
away.
The logo. I've said it before. Go back to Washington football team if you're that worried about it and bring back the logo. But seeing that the Blackfeet tribe wants the name Redskins back, it's time to bring back the Redskins because it's not about you and me.
No.
Right? It's not about anybody else. It's about the tribe itself. That's who it supposedly is offensive to.
And
they're clearly not offended by it.
And by the way, the only people, there was a bunch of white people going, oh, you should be offended by this.
Right.
Screw that. They're not offended. They are honored by it.
The same people that say we shouldn't say Eskimo kisses anymore. Really? What does the Eskimo tribe in Alaska say? Well, they're Inuits. Well, no, that's a pretty broad generalization of everybody up there. They all had their own tribes. Maybe we should just call them by their own tribes. I'm all favor in bringing back Redskins or Washington Blackfeet and having the logo back on there. Honor the tribe. That's what it was designed for to begin with, because there is a fighting Indian spirit that is forgotten.
And
that was great people that lived here.
And that's what every high school name that named themselves after Native American tribes,
Correct.
They were all honoring that fighting spirit, because just to survive back during that time. And by the way, they had a good friend that was Indian when I was in high school, and he called himself that and still does.
Yeah.
He goes, by the way, we weren't that peaceful.
No.
We were at war a lot back in the day.
Of course they were. That's what people do. People fight with each other.
People are people.
People are people. But come back, because another thing that I like about it, it's in your face, right? These are people that existed in North America and still exist today. And we need to remember that. Again, if we erase our history, we're doomed to repeat it. We should remember the Trail of Tears.
We should.
Andrew Jackson.
Absolutely.
Andrew Jackson, one of the worst presidents we've ever had, literally forced people to walk off their land. Let's talk about that. Let's take him off the $20 bill. Go back. What happened to Harriet Tubman being on the $20 bill, by the way? I was all for that. Get Andrew Jackson off there, who was responsible for the Trail of Tears, but nobody's talking about that. Instead, we're going to be offended by Redskins and have a president on the $20 bill that's responsible for one of the greatest atrocities ever done to a people in the United States of America.
And
I could go on a soapbox about this. I want to bring the logo back. I really do. It's great. I'll be first in line to buy a t-shirt.
Oh, I will. We will wear them on the show and wear them proudly.
Bring Indians back. It's people of God. I'm all for it.
All right.
We do have other stuff to talk about today, though. People are losing their minds, not just on the Redskins side of things, but they're losing. Jerry Jones is apparently losing his ever-loving mind when it comes to the Cowboys.
He was not happy today. He does a weekly radio show, and the guy started asking him about some of the moves that were made in the offseason. And
specifically about the running game.
Yes.
And not spending money in the offseason.
Because he had a chance to get Derrick Henry. He could have gotten Saquon Barkley.
Yep. Never talked to him.
Didn't talk to him.
Or at least lowballed him.
Probably didn't talk to him. And they were asking about this, and Jerry just lost his mind. He's 83 years old. He didn't want to hear this. He threatened the guys' jobs. And to the guys' credits, the radio announcers, they didn't back down.
Double down. Well, because at that point, the dudes threatened your job. And they did the same thing I would do, the same thing you would do. If I'm going to lose my job, I'm going down firing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not losing my integrity in this argument just because you threatened my job. He went out fighting. And the question was simple. Do you regret not going after a running back in the offseason? Because that is the problem with the Cowboys right now.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the Cowboys is you are relying on a passing game with no support at running back. Dowdle's great. He's fine. Ezekiel Elliott is obviously past his prime, but Dowdle was a 7th-round pick that you kept on the practice squad for a long time, and now you're relying on him as your starter. He's a great secondary back. It's like it's like the Packers with Wilson, right? Great secondary back. Great 1-2 punch. I don't want him as my starter for the team. If he's my first starter, we have a problem at running back. It's the same thing with Dowdle. You should have spent the money on Derrick Henry. You should have went after Saquon Barkley and worked out the cap in that sense. There's other places you can cut, and you just didn't. And then Dan Quinn's lost, took a head coaching job. There's nothing you could do. Mike Zimmer is clearly not the answer at defensive coordinator. He shouldn't have a job anymore.
He is a good defensive coordinator. He always was.
He was. It's a different game.
I'm not putting this on McCarthy coaches what he's got to coach. But it's clearly
There's no running attack. McCarthy has always had a running attack. He had Ryan Grant back in the day. Aaron Jones came into play later on. He always had a running game.
Well, and without the running game, you can't do the play action pass because nobody respects it.
No. If your front four, like the Packers could face the Cowboys, who have the worst running defense in the league right now, and could stop that run. Dowdle's just not that guy, and Ezekiel Elliott is no longer that guy. You have no running game. That is the answer to this. And rather than being a human being, knowing this question's coming, you know this question is coming because you have the worst rushing attack in the NFL, and you threaten somebody's job.
Jerry looked like a bully and like somebody who thought he was better than everybody else. Who are you to ask me questions? I own the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, what's your point?
I'm sure he owns the station.
Fine. He still sounds like a bully. And oh, by the way, it's a legitimate question. Jerry Jones is 83 years old. He really shouldn't be the GM anymore because it takes a lot. He should be the
president of the United States. That's how old you have to be.
Stop it. But it takes a lot of hours to be a GM, to study all the players that are available, to analyze it, to work with your scouts. He's obviously not doing that.
I've defended him. He's built a really good team and continues to build a really good team. He's a good GM. You put him as GM as any other team, and he's praised for the team that he's built. Even now, he's built this team. This is a good team, but he missed on the running attack. He overanalyzed that. If you look at the NFL today, the NFL is more of a running league today than it's been in decades. The running back is coming. It is. You're seeing less passing touchdowns, more field goals.
In the last 10 years, I mean, it was, you go back 20
the last couple decades. It's been leaning more towards pass. I mean, the running game's always been there, but now with these two high safeties that you're seeing today, you need to be able to run the ball. You have to force those safeties up or you're never going to be able to pass. And they're not having to cheat now. They are literally just 4 guys. We're going to stop the run. They have no rushing attack, and it's hurting them.
Well, and I'm questioning whether they're a good team or not. You remember I left them off of my playoff picks.
Yeah.
Because the talent just isn't there. You don't have the running back. McCarthy can only do so much. Is he the right coach for the situation? I think he's going to be gone, even though Jones said vehemently he will be back next year.
Correct.
I'll believe that when I see it.
You need a running back. You need a running back in this league. You need to set up, like you said, the play action pass. And it was a legitimate question. And for Jerry Jones to just attack and threaten somebody's job for that situation, it's a bad look for a franchise that is hurting. They're 3-3. They're not out of this yet.
No, but they better get on it pretty soon. Fortunately, they're not in the NFC North, because if they were, they'd be in bad shape.
Yeah, they all have winning records. It's the best division in all of football at the moment, but they really haven't faced each other yet. The only game that has been played between division rivals is the Vikings and Packers so far. There's a lot of division games.
Then they're going to beat each other up. All right, there's some other big NFL news that's broke today. We've got 2 huge trades that have happened.
We do.
Devontae Adams leaving the Raiders, getting on a jet, flying to New York to rejoin his old buddy Aaron Rodgers.
You had that set up so well.
I fumbled.
And you stumbled.
I fumbled.
Football jokes. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
It's really bad. This was going to happen. This is going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. He literally sat out the last 2 games. Didn't play at all.
He had a bad hamstring.
Sure. I'm sure it'll look fine next week.
It'll look fine this Sunday.
The Jets. Yeah. He is playing. I mean, make no mistake, he is playing.
He won't be in a lot, but he'll be in for a few plays.
He'll be in every single play. He doesn't need to know the playbook. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams never followed the playbook anyway.
They just gave each other a look at the line.
Correct.
And they knew where they were going.
They're on the same page. Garrett Wilson's not going to see a single ball next week unless Devontae Adams starts to make him open, which he will. He'll be there. Question is, what number is he going to wear? Because he can't wear 17. It's taken by a wide receiver already.
He will be wearing 17. Have
to pay up, man.
A backroom deal will be made.
But let me ask you this: what does this do now for the Jets?
It gives them another legitimate weapon. It makes Rodgers more comfortable. He's got his whoopee in a sense.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it was always his go-to. It was almost like Favre early in his career with Sterling Sharp. It was the guy that he went to.
Yeah, or Stafford with Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, or Rodgers with Jordy Nelson before Devontae came along. It's a comfort level. They're friends.
Yeah, if things aren't working, I'm going to you.
Yes. Yeah. Last night, the interception he threw at the end, the receiver, I think, was supposed to do a cut route. Instead,
it's a bad throw.
Well, the receiver was going deep, and then he realized, oh, wait, the ball's coming short.
And he slipped.
Yeah.
It was what it was. The field goal kicker missed 2 field goals. That would have changed the landscape of that game.
Bad kicking in the league. But anyways, Devontae Adams is going to make a huge difference. I think they're going to be competing in the East now. But the AFC East made sure the other major team there, the Bills, said, okay, glad you got him. We're not done yet either. They went and got Amari Cooper.
For the league minimum, by the way. Cleveland restructured the contract, gave him a huge signing bonus at the beginning of the season, so his actual salary is league minimum. So the Bills get him for the league minimum. And that AFC, the Bills are a team now. I mean, they've been the team to beat, and they remain the team to beat. Josh Allen's going to win the MVP.
They're going to win the division.
They're going to win the division. The Jets should be a playoff team at this point, and we'll see what happens. We haven't seen the best of Rodgers yet with the Jets. We haven't for a few years.
I'm wondering if we're seeing all Rodgers has left to give.
That's what we saw with Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in a COVID year, but he really wasn't the same guy that he was. And you're seeing the same thing with Rodgers. He's 40 years old.
I mean, he threw a beautiful Hail Mary at the end of the first half last night.
Fourth of his career.
He is the king of Hail Marys.
He is.
But there were other times he doesn't look in sync. And it takes a lot of work to be a quarterback. It takes a lot of reps with your wide receivers.
Right. Which he doesn't do.
He doesn't do. And it shows.
I don't understand the whole off-season missing reps thing. Like you want to win, and all you want to do is win, but then you don't show it on the field. I want to be the best, but I don't want to put in the work to be the best.
And that happens when you get to a certain point in your age.
Correct. It's why Tom Brady stepped away when he did. It's why Favre stepped away. He said that several times. If I didn't have to go to mini camp and training camp, I'd still be playing. He was just tired of the practices, which is understandable, especially back in Favre's day with the two-a-days.
Yes.
It was a lot more intense then than it is now.
And the work to put in before the Sunday games, it's just so much work to prepare. And if you're quarterback, you've got to know not only your position, but everybody else's.
Right.
It's a ton of work.
It is.
And Rodgers doesn't look like he really wants to put in that work anymore. I know
last night
he'll come back at me and tell me I'm stupid, which is fine.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like it on the field. This is not the Rodgers I watched for all those years.
Good last night. He really did.
He looked like he was hurt.
Well, because he is hurt. He's old. I mean, that's just what happens. As you get older, you don't move as well anymore. You don't recover as fast anymore. It's why there's GMs that are obsessed with it being a young man's game. It's not because they wouldn't be great earlier in the year. It's because what are you going to have on game 17 when the season's coming to an end and you've been beat up for 17 weeks straight?
So is Devontae Adams going to put them over the top so they can hopefully compete for a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Because I don't know if Rodgers comes back next year.
What it does is it moves the offense. What it does is it opens up the running game because you have two solid backs there with Braylon Adams and Breece Hall. That can make a difference. The problem is they're stacking the line and daring the Jets to throw, which when have you ever seen a team defense saying we're going to make Aaron Rodgers beat us?
Well, I think
that's what's happening.
They know that he's not on the same page. He did a couple shovel passes last night, which if they were with Green Bay with the team 5-6 years ago,
right,
it would have been a 15-yard gain because everybody was moving in sync. It was a well-oiled machine.
Right.
You don't have that in New York now. Braylon Allen clearly wasn't ready for that one shovel pass.
It was behind him.
Still should have caught it.
Yeah, I agree. They're not in sync right now. I think Devontae Adams is not only going to bring a weapon for Aaron Rodgers, but I think he's going to bring to the rest of the team the understanding of Aaron Rodgers. When this is happening, this is where he wants you to be. When this is happening, this is where he wants you to be. If you're going on a go route, but there's too high safety, he wants you to come back, and the ball will be there when you turn around. This is what's expected from the quarterback, and they don't have that now. They thought they had that with Randall Cobb, and it didn't really work out that well because, again, he still needs that security blanket of the guy he can go to.
And Lazard is there, but it's not the same as a Hall of Famer coming in and going, look, guys, this is the way we play in this offense.
Correct. And they can't see it. Lazard's not going to be a number one guy.
Right. He never
Randall
was.
Cobb was never going to be a number one guy. Devontae Adams is now the number one guy, and he's on my fantasy team, so I'm pretty excited. But, okay, let's figure this out because I think you and I are on different pages. How impactful is Devontae Adams going to be on Sunday?
He's going to have several balls thrown to him, or it's going to open up other receivers, and Rodgers will find them.
Okay, over-under on 6 catches on Sunday from Devontae Adams.
Under.
You want to bet?
Depends what we're betting.
I don't know. We can come up with something. We have our Halloween episode next week, so let's make a bet.
Okay.
I think he's going to have 6 or more catches on Sunday.
And I think he'll have 4 or 5.
Okay? Let's think of this.
Oh, God. I hate it when I see your face like this.
All right. If he has under 6 catches on Sunday, I will do the Vukovic stash for our next
You'll do a
show.
Fu Manchu.
I'll do the just this here
It's
for the next show. Fu Manchu.
It's called a Fu Manchu.
All right. Whatever.
Okay.
If he has 6 or more catches, you can't shave until the end of November. You got to do no shave November.
Okay. I will go until Thanksgiving or the weekend before Thanksgiving.
The weekend before Thanksgiving is like 3 weeks. No, it's got to be to the end of December or November.
Okay.
Till November 30th, you can't shave.
Nobody's going to notice.
I will.
Yeah, you will.
And I'll see you real uncomfortable because I know you can't stand having facial hair.
I've never had it.
All right.
All right. Then we got to bet.
5 or less catches, I do a Fu Manchu.
6 or less.
Well, if he has 6, I win. If he has 6 catches, I win. If he has 5 or less, I do a Fu Manchu. If he has 6 or more, you don't shave for until the end of November. And I want this to be on camera. It is until December 1st.
Again,
you can shave December 1st.
Nobody will notice.
Okay.
All right.
Deal?
We're in.
All right. It's been on the tape. Devontae, I need you to get 6 catches. I don't care if they're short passes. Just catches.
I would laugh my ass off.
It can be 6 catches for negative yards.
I would laugh my ass off if he didn't play on Sunday. That would make my day.
Devontae, you have to play on Sunday. I need that to happen. All right. That is the bet. The other one is Amari Cooper, who's been a solid wide receiver, who's a receiver that just has been screwed over by bad quarterback play throughout his career.
Yeah.
It's been nonstop. He's never been able to be that weapon, but still finds his way to get 1,000 yards every single season. And now he becomes a number 1 option in Buffalo with the best quarterback he's ever played with by far.
He's playing with a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to learn in reverse what Devontae Adams, Greg Jennings, everybody who's left Green Bay and left a Hall of Fame quarterback finds out. They're rare.
They're very rare.
They're rare. And to have somebody who can throw the ball and put it where it needs to be when you're going to be there, it just doesn't happen usually.
It doesn't. But we're seeing it now. And Amari Cooper's, I think, going to start to light it up as well. Deshaun Watson is a mess. And this is just the Browns giving in and saying, we suck. And that's all there is to it.
They're giving up. They're going to draft a quarterback. They're going to, I don't know whether they're going to try to get Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers.
They're stuck with Watson for 3 years.
That's fine.
Quinn Ewers, I think, is your number 1 overall pick. There's another kid. Who was I watching the other night? On what team? It's a smaller, like kid from Iowa. McNamara.
Okay.
If there's a surprise of some, like Bo Nix was, like Michael Penix Jr. was, like JJ McCarthy was. If there's a surprise like JJ McCarthy shooting up the boards, watch McNamara from Iowa start to shoot up the boards in the NFL draft. That is my prediction, because this is a kid that is playing with not a great team, is firing the ball and winning ball games. You look at all the other guys out there, Quinn Ewers has all the first-round picks. Don't knock over my camera, dog. Dog just came downstairs. I apologize. But if you look at a guy, Quinn Ewers is playing with first-round picks. You look at Shedeur Sanders. He's really just throwing it to Travis Hunter right now. This dog's going to knock over my camera. You need to move. Poke him out of the way. I completely lost my train of thought.
Yes, he does. He's
comfortable now.
They all have receivers.
McNamara's not playing with top-tier talent and is still finding a way to do it. And he could be a really good NFL quarterback. Mark my words, he's going to be the surprise quarterback.
Well, and the other one that might be available is J.J. McCarthy. Because
could be. We'll see. They're coming off a bye, and they're going to start to face some big games all of a sudden. This dog's freaking me out. Go lay down. Hey, go lay down.
Goofy dog. Anyways, we've got to figure they got to give up on the Deshaun Watson experiment.
They can't.
I know they can't, but look. Denver got out of Russell Wilson, and they moved on from him. The Browns have to do the same thing, except for the fact this is all guaranteed.
There's $173 million still guaranteed on his contract. This isn't, hey, let's eat $85 million and call it a day. This is, if they cut him, their entire cap is taken up by one player. They literally can't field a team.
He's going to be the quarterback for the next 3 years. No doubt about that. But Deshaun Watson is not the quarterback he was before he had all his troubles. He was a great athlete that played the position, and Cleveland, bad owners make bad decisions. And that's what it was.
There's no way to get out of it, though. Even if they draft a quarterback, you're paying somebody $73 million to be your backup.
It's fine it's today's NFL, yes, but it's still better for a quarterback to sit for a couple of years, even behind Deshaun Watson, because he'll be working
I
with
agree
that
with
coaching staff. He will get up to speed.
They are drafting a quarterback, and speaking of quarterbacks that may not be performing the way that they need to, I have a question for you.
Okay.
If you had to pick right now, I gave you a choice. Would you choose Daniel Jones or would you choose Trevor Lawrence?
None of the above.
You have to pick one. One of them has to be your starting quarterback. Who would you pick?
I think I'd take Daniel Jones right now over Trevor Lawrence.
Why?
He just seems more in command. Trevor Lawrence has been all over the place. He's not making good throws. He has not looked good. And other than 1 year, he really hasn't done much.
What if I told you they're the same quarterback? Since they've been in the league, Daniel Jones has a higher completion percentage by 1%, 64 to 63. Trevor Lawrence has more passing yards, but they're both under 3,000 passing yards for their career. They're around the same for rushing yards per season. They have the same amount of passing touchdowns, the same passer rating, and the same amount of interceptions. 66 touchdowns for Daniel Jones, 42 interceptions, 60 touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence, 40 interceptions.
Okay, that's not a glowing recommendation for either one.
It's not. I really thought you'd pick Trevor Lawrence, and I'd have this moment of like, let me tell you, sir.
He has been so unimpressive, especially this year.
And I don't know what you can do to fix it.
Maybe this is who he always was.
Well, you can't say that. I mean, he's been the number one overall pick since he was in high school. And he won a national championship with, granted, a stacked Clemson team, but he has a stacked Jaguars team right now.
He did.
He does now. This team should be a lot better than it is.
He's pulling them down. I mean, if I were the Jags, I'd seriously think of sitting him.
I don't think you can.
I'm not sure you can.
I mean, you just paid him. He's the third highest paid quarterback in the league right now. He is your starter. You're in the same situation as Cleveland. You've committed to him. You've named your stadium Trevor Bank Field.
Well, he's not playing.
He is your starter right now. But people hate Daniel Jones. People say Trevor Lawrence is just a generational talent that just needs to figure it out. They're the same quarterback.
Yeah, and that's not good. He may be Trevor Bank Stadium, but the ATM is empty.
It's getting to be there, but you just paid him. You have to ride with him.
And you know what's going to happen, because it always happens in football or baseball or any other sport. Doug Peterson's going to be fired.
Doug Peterson will be the one to fall on this one, yes.
Yeah. And I think that could happen anytime over the next 3 weeks. If they don't start turning around, if they don't start winning, they'll make a break.
I just don't know what the issue could be. Is it play calling? Is it the quarterback? It has. I mean, you have to bring in somebody. If I'm the Jags, I'm going to get the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator and paying him anything he asks for. Ben Johnson, because you need somebody on that team that's going to be offensive minded and that's going to be excited to play with Trevor Lawrence. And I think Ben Johnson's the answer.
Well, he had offers this year to go to Washington and said, no, I'll stick with Detroit.
Yeah, and it was a good call. I mean, they're on pace to possibly win. I mean, Adrian Hutchinson has a horseshoe-shaped leg now.
I feel so bad. Leg. I feel so bad for that kid because his career may be over.
It might be. That's a bad injury.
He broke both bones, right?
He broke one, fractured the other.
Okay, he broke both
yes,
bones.
He broke both
bones.
But he also now has a rod in his leg.
Mm.
They had to put a metal rod in there. I mean, I watched the picture. It was a U.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. Then again, Adrian Hudson is an old school tough guy. He could be like Jack Youngblood, who famously played a Super Bowl on a broken leg.
Yeah. The entire Super Bowl. On a broken leg.
I think it was the entire playoffs.
Was it that long?
Leg. Yeah.
He could be, but that's a hard thing to play on. He will heal from this, but he's going to have trouble going through airport security now for a while.
Well, and it's going to take time to get back to the speed.
Well, and the problem with putting a rod in your leg, listen, it's a foreign substance in your body. And I know this because my mother has 2 rods in her legs now.
Yes.
Shattered one, and then a year later shattered the other. And at first, her body did not take the rod. She actually got a pretty bad infection because of that and needed to have more surgery. And so a number of things could happen. People think, oh, you just put a rod in your leg and you'll be fine. Well, if your body accepts it not as a foreign contaminant, the problem is if your body doesn't accept that, you could run into issues. I'm not a doctor by any means, but I saw it happen firsthand, and it's a bad situation.
And look, I had my fingers bent. They tried to put a rod in that just to straighten it out for a while. It became seriously infected. I had to go and get IVs every day for a month and a half.
Yeah, that's right. You had it happen to you as
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
But-
if your body doesn't accept the foreign substance, you're in trouble. So this is not as easy as he's fixed. You're never, anytime you have surgery, trust me, I've had 4 of them now. You're not just fixed. There's a lot of complications that can come after that, and your body's going to recover when it decides it's time to recover.
Well, I hope he recovers because he was a really good talent.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated playing against him as a Packer fan,
I agree.
but okay. I've got one for you.
Okay.
Who would you take, by the way, Lawrence or Jones?
Lawrence,
Because
potential.
I think we've seen that potential.
There's something that hasn't been unlocked there yet.
Okay.
I think Daniel Jones is also a quarterback. Daniel Jones is going to have a long career in this league.
As a
He really
backup.
is. He could be that Sam Darnold where he goes around the league, gets his shot, and all of a sudden you're seeing a player we hadn't seen before. I just don't think he's done yet. But I do. If you look at ceilings, Daniel Jones has a higher ceiling than where he's playing right now, but I don't know how much higher. Trevor Lawrence has a massive ceiling of potential that hasn't been unlocked yet. He's just missing. He's not reading the field. He's just, for whatever reason, not getting used to the speed of the game. And so I think Trevor Lawrence has a higher ceiling still. And listen, we're 2 years away from that not being the case anymore.
Right.
He's got to figure it out the end of this year into next year. Otherwise, it's a wasted pick, and he's going to turn into being a bust. But it's still there to be unlocked somewhere.
I like your idea for Ben Johnson if they can get him.
I think that's what they're missing.
All right. Here's my question. We're going to do a contrast and compare on another 2.
Okay?
This week's game, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. And I think the numbers are going to skew towards Stroud. I'm going to say that now. I haven't looked at numbers. I'm just going from the impression of the 2 guys.
Okay? Now I got to look him up.
And honestly, this was really starting to come into Jordan Love's regular season because he was hurt for 2 games. He didn't really, the first 4 or 5 games is preseason in the NFL now because it's such a long season.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And these guys aren't playing.
And Jordan Love looked good against the Cardinals. As good
great.
as I've seen him.
He looked great.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud's looked good all year, too. Let's see. Let's compile it over careers. Let me talk about other guys that are pretty much the same quarterback at this point. Let me see if I can get it up on this. You'll see it up on the screen. I'll have to do it in post, but you'll see it up on the screen, the comparisons. 63% completion percentage for Jordan Love, 65% for CJ Stroud. Both have about 5,700 passing yards, same rush yards. Passer rating, CJ Stroud has a much better passer rating. CJ Stroud has a 100.2 passer rating. Jordan Love 90.4, QBR 62 to 60 basically. Same amount of touchdowns. Jordan Love throws more interceptions.
That passer rating, I think a lot of that, Jordan Love had such a bad October last year.
He did.
Where he was really trying to figure out, he just was awful. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
They're very similar. These are your future stars in the NFL.
This could be a future Super Bowl
It wouldn't surprise me.
at all.
It wouldn't surprise me. Jordan Love's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think C.J. Stroud is on his way to being the first ever Ohio State Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame quarterback. C.J. Stroud's amazing.
Who would you take? Oh, he of giving gold jackets too soon?
I'm going to take the Hall of Famer, Jordan Love, because we know he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
You just said C.J. Stroud could be a Hall of Famer.
Could be. Jordan Love already is. I'm not going to say, obviously I'm wearing the Packer stuff today, right? I'm a Packer fan. Everybody that watches the show knows I'm a Packer fan. And so I love Jordan Love. All you need is love, man. Love is all you need.
Stop it.
But I take either. You don't have a wrong answer here. CJ Stroud's a really good quarterback, though.
He is really good. He is really, really good. I think this is one of those, for these 2, you put them in a basket and whoever falls out, you're fine.
Yeah. If we have to talk about, it's, man, as much as I want to say love in this situation,
I might lean towards Stroud just because he was a true rookie last year and he came in and owned the league.
Yeah. CJ Stroud's real good. Real good. The Houston Texans got rewarded for getting rid of Deshaun Watson. It may have hurt for a couple of years, but what a reward they received.
They got a bonus because the other team made a stupid decision they never should have made.
Yeah, you can win with either. If I'm not being biased, the answer is CJ Stroud. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, if I'm not a Packer fan, the answer is CJ Stroud. Because Jordan Love can be streaky at times.
Can be. And then he can throw to a spot off his back foot like he did last Sunday.
Right.
And boom, talk about being
They're both great. I mean, I'm happy with Jordan Love. Don't get me wrong. And it also doesn't help my bias considering you have the Packer quarterback and then you have the quarterback from The Ohio State University who should have won that game on Saturday, but we're not going to go into that one.
You mean the one that they lost to Oregon?
Yeah, that one.
Because Oregon outcoached Ohio State?
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great ending.
Shut up.
I was happy.
I know you were. I heard. I heard. They have, I tell you what, on a side note here, they have to beat Penn State. I came out of this in the season saying you have to win one of those two. You should win both, but you have to win one of those two. It was a stupid mistake at the end that cost Ohio State the game, or they would have won that game.
It wasn't a stupid mistake. They were outcoached. There was a loophole. The Oregon coach saw it. Well, they took the 12-man penalty.
Correct.
Cost them 5 yards, but kept it going.
Right. And our quarterback didn't
get down fast enough.
Didn't know the clock was still running.
By the way, it was a great game.
Outstanding game.
I mean, it was the two best teams other than Texas in football.
They're going to see each other again. And I'd rather lose this one.
Okay.
So I'll take that. But they have to beat Penn State this coming week. They don't have a choice. They have to beat Penn State.
And the Badgers look great.
Ugh.
Badgers look good. They're coming into their own. Leave them alone.
Okay.
Anyways, this is one of those, and honestly, we're here to give opinions, but I don't have one. I would take either one of these guys.
I chose. You have to choose.
CJ Stroud.
All right. We're on the same page there. I do want to go back to one thing before we go on to our games that we know at least I'll get wrong. Another rough week for me. Not as bad, though.
No,
you said I did good, right?
I did good.
All right, I did good.
I'll tell you in a minute.
Good. But I want to go to the kicker side of things.
Must be.
Well, it's interesting because you said a lot of bad kicking in the league this year, but this is a normal trend in the NFL when it comes to kickers because you get a good crop of kickers in there, and then you have a few years where it seems like every kicker's making everything, and then people retire. Well, that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing this transition in kickers where you lost a lot of good kickers.
Let's talk about Narveson. He missed another field goal to the right. He's got a one-way miss, which if you're a tennis player or...
That's what you want.
You want a one-way miss.
Because now it's fixable.
My question is, you've got Crosby sitting in the state of Wisconsin.
Right.
Why don't you bring him in to work with this guy? And why don't you have him in Lambeau Field where the wind swirls, kicking on a daily basis?
That I don't know. Because he's kicking in the Dodd Hudson Center. They don't go on the field during the week. I don't know. That's where I'd be. Because it's different. Because he's missing in Lambeau. I mean, that's the reality situation. He's missing in Lambeau.
He's missing everywhere. He misses to the right once a game.
He does.
He's got the second worst percentage in football right now. He will be gone if he misses another one this week.
I'm surprised he's still on the team now.
They've got another one on the practice squad.
Yeah.
I am too. But I don't understand. Bring in Crosby. Not if you don't want him to kick, I get it. He's 40 years old.
Right.
He's not going to
bring him in as a coach.
You're not going to bring him. He's not going to make a 55-yard field goal for you anymore.
Right. Pay him to come in and help the young kid.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're sold on him. The Packers will draft another kicker next year. It's going to happen. Probably early.
The only one that I've seen that's been good is the one San Francisco got from the kid in Michigan.
Yeah.
Packers could have got him.
Well, they tried to get Bates, who's kicking in Detroit right now, and they were outbid by Detroit. There's nothing you can do, but he's streaky too. So I don't know what else the Packers can do, but I do think you're seeing a time in the league right now where kickers are getting older that were automatic, and the new kickers just aren't there yet.
Certainly true in Green Bay. I mean, they lost a playoff game last year because of it.
Yep.
And they've been lucky they haven't lost more this year because of Narvison missing.
Well, they may have lost that Vikings game because of it, though.
Yes.
Because of a missed field goal. 2 missed field goals. So it's got to be figured out in Green Bay, but we need to go on to pick our games because it is time for the picks that are guaranteed to be wrong.
All right. So last week, you were above 500. You were 3-2.
I did it. I did it, Mom.
I was 4-1. The only game I got wrong was the Cowboys.
What's the season records?
You're doing great. You're almost, no, you're still 14-16, but getting closer to 500.
I'm getting closer to I just want to finish 500. That's all I want to do. What are you at?
19-11.
Nicely done.
I'm shocked.
Much better year. You were 500 last year. You're getting better at this. I'm apparently just as bad.
No, I'm not. I am not. But
let's see what we got to do this year. Who's the first game?
Lions at the Vikings.
It's going to be a real good game. Lions coming off a huge win, but as we talked about earlier, it is a huge loss on the defense, losing Aiden Hutchinson. With a quarterback in Sam Darnold, who has proven if you give him time, he's going to pick you apart. It's an undefeated Vikings. The Vikings are not going to stay undefeated. Where is it?
Minnesota.
It's at Minnesota.
2 dome teams playing each other.
I'm going to go with the Lions on this one, but it's not a comfortable pick.
I am, and it is a fairly comfortable pick.
You're picking the Lions?
I think the Lions are the class of the division right now, and I think they win.
All right. What's the next one?
Ravens at Tampa. I will not use the other name.
Buccaneers?
Yep.
Why?
I don't like them.
Okay. I think the Buccaneers are going to win this one big. Although Lamar Jackson looked like a quarterback last week. He threw for over 300 yards. Looked really good. Him and that Zay Flowers connection is really coming together. Tampa Bay is a team to be reckoned with. Baker Mayfield's playing out of his mind.
And Tampa Bay's crowd is going to be fired up. This will be the first game after the hurricane.
Yeah.
So
it depends if Vita Vea can play. If Vita Vea can play, that gives them a chance against the run. If not, Tampa Bay is going to be in trouble. I'm going to pick Tampa Bay, though.
All right.
Who are you taking?
I think there's going to be a lot of emotion in Tampa because they had the hurricane and it was very destructive. Certainly not New Orleans when Katrina went through, but I think the Ravens take care of business.
All right.
Next game up. This will be fun. This is our bet game. Jets going to Pittsburgh.
Well, who's going to be the quarterback in Pittsburgh?
Wilson, I think.
Tomlin came out and said he would consider starting Russell Wilson, which is not a good sign for Justin Fields.
No.
This could be the end.
The experiment is over.
Of a career for Justin Fields. And I may just have to eat my words. I really thought in Chicago he was great, but he leaves. I mean, it's a Trubisky situation. The Pittsburgh's where these quarterbacks go to die that were former Bears. I mean, the Jets are going to win this game. I got the Jets. I think the Jets are going to win handily because you got Adams back, and it's going to be a new look.
I think so as well. I think the Jets win. I mean, if Adams doesn't play, all bets might be off.
Fair.
But I think Adams does play. He catches 4 passes. Maybe 5. No more.
You have a 12-catch game. He's going to have 6 catches in the first half. I'm going to be so excited.
I'll cry real hard because it'll be a long month for me.
Shave on Saturday. That would be my suggestion to you.
I'm going to take the Jets.
All right.
Chiefs and 49ers.
The Chiefs can't keep going undefeated, but you have a 49ers team that has not looked like a 49ers team. I do think this is the game that the 49ers turn it around and pull out a win, as long as the refs are not on the Chiefs' side again.
Would you stop that?
It's true.
No, it's not true.
It's true. Taylor Swift is paying off the refs. The question is when is Travis Kelce going to become Travis Kelce? Or is this the end of Travis Kelce?
He's going to.
He hasn't looked the same.
He will. He will. It's a big stage. He'll step up. I think the Chiefs are going to continue to win for at least one more week.
We'll see. The Chiefs, I do not think, have it in them to do a three-peat. I really don't. I could be, since I'm saying that, they're going to win 3 in a row. It's only been a matter of time until somebody does it.
I don't think they're going to do it 3 in a row either, but they are still the class of the league, And I think they want to go in and make a statement against the 49ers. And the 49ers have taken a step back.
It really surprises me that Amari Cooper goes to the Bills for what he went for and that the Chiefs didn't make a harder run at him.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. But then again, it's one of those things. Maybe the Bills contact him, got the deal done before the Chiefs even got into it.
He's been on the block for a while now.
Yeah. I don't know. They still have the talent. Okay, and the
49ers.
Okay, the last game is, of course, the one we alluded to earlier, the Texans at the Packers.
Well, you know me, I don't pick against Packers, but this is going to be a really tough game for the Packers to win. It is in Lambeau, and we saw last week that bad weather is back in style in Green Bay. And we showed again that the Packers win in bad weather games. We got another quarterback that can seemingly handle the elements of Lambeau Field. I think the Packers are going to win this one, and I actually don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be a 10-point win for the Green Bay Packers.
I think the Packers are going to win because Jordan Love is starting to feel his game again. They still have the best crew of young wide receivers. Christian Watson got back in. Romeo Doubs looked good.
Yeah.
Everybody was on the same page again.
Romeo Doubs did not smile once.
No, he learned
the entire game.
He grew up a lot this week.
I think so. This is a job, and I think he just learned it.
Yes. Welcome to big boy world of business and football.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Packers win. I don't think it's going to be a 10-point game. I think it'll be like a 24-21. And I'm praying to God that Narveson is the one that makes that 40-yard field goal when it really counts.
I hope it doesn't come down to a field goal.
Me too.
I really do. But you and I have had a great show. And as you all know, you cannot have a conversation with your dad without your father getting the last word. So it is all you.
So the MLB playoffs have begun. And from the looks of things, people are starting to watch again, which is great because the ratings have been up and baseball is still the greatest game ever invented. You've got very compelling games. You've got the Dodgers playing the Mets right now, and you've got the Yankees playing the Cleveland former Indians. Both stories have been great. There's been some outstanding baseball. My bet is it's going to be a Dodgers versus a Yankees World Series, harkening back to like the 1970s when I was watching and growing up. Take the time, if you haven't, to watch the playoffs because there's been some great pitching. There's been some great clutch hitting. The Mets really made the Dodgers look bad yesterday when they intentionally walked somebody and the next guy up hit a grand slam. It's fun to watch these kind of games. It's the best baseball you're going to see all year. Don't just ignore them. Take the time and watch them because baseball is still the greatest game ever invented.
You know what my favorite thing about the MLB playoffs this year has been? You notice the box, while still there, is not a white line
Yes,
anymore?
I love it. I love it. I actually didn't see it, but then I could still see where the placement was. And so, yeah, it's still there a little bit, but it's basically gone. And I love that.
We started something. We've been complaining about it for 2 years.
They listened to us.
Apparently. Thank you, Fox, for listening. And thank you all for tuning in again this week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.